Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 23rd of September, comes to you from London. And there's always something new to watch in financial markets. That's what I love about the market. And the big one, actually, that I nearly always start on is the dollar. And the dollar has had quite a jump this last couple of days, jumping from 92.75 on the dollar index to 94.25. So a significant move there, 1.5% roughly, so or nearly 2%. And so we see that weekly candle. This is the biggest move in the dollar actually that we've seen in quite a few months, and we're not yet bullish above the cloud here on the daily chart, but on the 60-minute chart we're moving higher. Remembering this is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute chart, my long-term, medium, and short-term view. The interesting thing is the point and figure chart. We never actually broke that bearish trend. On the daily chart we did, but on the 1% chart we didn't, and we are now seeing upside potential a further 2% higher. So that's quite interesting, and the fact that it's the dollar is really significant because this tends to have an effect on risk assets, things like tech, commodities, gold. So we will see that will start to impact things if that dollar run continues. That means the euro is weaker against the dollar. We're sitting below 117 now. We were nudging 120. We actually did touch 120 just a few weeks ago, and now we're falling back. So euro weakness is starting to creep in, and we were in this consolidation pattern here for the euro. It was would we break higher or would we break lower? And we're now looking like we're breaking lower. So that's quite significant. This might be just the beginning of the top. We're still long-term bullish on the euro, but we might be seeing quite a setback here. And of course, there's some very big downside targets to worry about. Against the yen, we're sitting below 105. The dollar stronger, but we did get to 104. We have recovered a bit there. Sterling sitting at 127 against that stronger dollar. So we're seeing a move there. And against the euro, we're still sitting at around 108. So just a gradual decline this week we've seen there on sterling, and of course we're bearish on the long and medium term charts. Bitcoin sitting at $10,000, $400, and $10,400, and that's just starting to look a little bit more bearish on the short and medium term chart. The long-term chart still holding on, but a new high is needed, really above $14,000 for Bitcoin to take off. The US stock market recovered last night. We saw the S&P 500 up 1%. The NatGas was also up. So we are seeing a bit of a recovery, but we are still in bear trends on the short-term charts with downside targets activated. So that's quite key. The NASDAQ also recovered quite well last night, but not enough to take this chart bullish, and these downside targets, some 20% lower, still hang over us. The Dow was up 0.5% as well. So the futures today, we're seeing the S&P future up 0.25%, and the Nasdaq future is only up very slightly. So I'd say our call is flat today. The volatility, the VIX volatility, the fear index has actually come back to the mid-20s. So that's quite a relief for equities, but it is still considerably higher than where we were a year ago when we had levels of around 10 or 14. We're still double that. The UK market has recovered this morning in line with other markets. The FTSE future up 1.3%. The German market, the DAX up 1.3%, and the CAC Quarante up 1.4%. So we are seeing a bounce in European markets, but of course we are still bearish there. Japan was slightly down, no big change there, and the same with the Hang Seng. In fact, Asia was generally pretty quiet all around. The Shanghai Composite up very slightly. The Indian market down very slightly. The big beneficiary was the Aussie market up 2.4%. So we did see an improvement there, and so that's quite key there. If we take a look at gold, we are in a short-term bear trend now. That stronger dollar having an impact, and we're pushing to new lows there. So we've activated this downside target now on the short-term chart, 5% lower, and these targets 10 to 12% lower. In the scheme of gold's trend, a 10% rewind is not really that significant. We've seen these pullbacks before. The key thing will be, can it then produce another thrust target and make a new high? That's the thing to watch for gold. But for now, the short-term trend is bearish. And if we look at silver, silver's even more hit. It's down 4.5%. So silver looking quite weak at the moment, and that pattern just looking a little bit less good. The US 10-year yield sitting at 0.67%. No real change there. We've been teetering along this level for ages. A quick look at the energy mix. Brent crude back into bearish territory with downside targets. The fact we activated this downside target to 30, even though we then recovered, is hanging over the price. We've got new downside targets on the 60-minute chart. New lows would activate those. We are looking very much like we're going to make a lower high and then a lower low. A fall below $39.50 on Brent crude would be bad, and that would send us lower into the 30s. WTI, we're seeing downside targets here as well. $36 is around the level that we need to hold on WTI. US NatGas also struggled. It was up. It was down 1.8%. Sorry, 0.7% today, and we saw how it just moved lower yesterday. Now this 180 level is quite critical, and again we activate new targets to 170. There's even one in place for 158. So the picture here has changed very dramatically on that front month contract. Coal, we've been bullish on this week, and it's still looking like it's pushing higher. Not making new highs yet, but one of the stronger asset classes in energy. Looking at emissions, we bounced a bit at the end of yesterday, but we are really trading in this 25-30 euro range at the moment. So it's a big sideways range. Gas prices looking still pretty strong. We're bullish on gas this week, making new highs there. And if we look at TTF, we're also pushing higher there. And on winter gas, we're up 2% this morning, so that's looking pretty good too. German power is actually up 1.6% this morning, so it's recovering a little bit, but we did really test the cloud here on the daily chart. But for the moment, that's looking a little bit better. The new upside target, if we can make new highs, so we just need to watch that. Lots of support on this point and figure chart, so it's looking pretty good for German power. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.